Chapter 1. The Addiction Worsens. Chad sat without moving on the edge of the big bed in a luxurious London penthouse, phone in hand. The video had looped for an hour, maybe longer.
Serena, can you tell us, how has it been since your return?
Well, it has been rough. I know that my husband has been through a lot, with me and the situation, and I am so grateful. But I know this is not easy on any of us.
What are your plans? And will you stay here in England, or do you plan to return to the States?
I will be taking my family home soon. I and my wife are very thankful to the people who were there for us as we struggled through this ordeal.
Kodiak Rose, Serena on his arm, the press conference in the marble atrium. The click and whine of camera shutters, the sound of Serena's voice, soft, uncertain, but alive, cut through the low buzz of the television speakers. He'd expected rage. Instead, what came was a cold, numbing ache. He stared at the screen, feeling trapped and hopeless, like an animal that knows it can't escape, waiting for something that wouldn't happen. Chad shifted his weight, bones and muscle protesting in a dozen separate languages. Kodiak drove him into the wall. The left side of his torso pulsed. Even now, hours later, he could taste the blood pooled in his mouth, hot and iron-rich. The wound wasn't serious, but the effort of holding human form so long had left him scraped raw. He should have just let the shift take him, let the blue jay fly home on brittle bones and hunger. But he hadn't. He'd watched the tape instead, again and again. The phone slipped from his grip and landed face up on the bedsheet. He didn't bother to pick it up. The segment kept going. Reporter questions, Serena's face going tight at the corners, Kodiak's hand squeezing her shoulder like he owned it. Darkness filled the space, save the blue glow emanating from the screen, plus the faint illumination from the city's expanse. Chad closed his eyes, waiting for the shame to crest, but all he felt was the slow, greedy gnaw of appetite. He got up. The pain doubled him over, but he steadied himself with both palms flat on the glass of the window, forearms corded with tension. Below, the Thames slid past in a ribbon of dirty light, the bridges crawling with late-night taxis and the dregs of after-dinner crowds. The sole sounds involved his heartbeat, plus the quiet creaks emitted by floorboards whenever the air conditioner activated. The windows blocked all other noise. His body ached. It didn't fight back, unlike a person or someone in a conflict, similar to a snake calmly getting rid of its skin when feeling pressure. Chad crossed to the mini-fridge, pulled the mirrored door open and reached inside. The cold stung his fingers, but he didn't flinch. The baby milk carrier stood out in the room, clashing with its style, but he risked a lot to get them. The bottles were still cold, condensation beading on the glass. He unclipped the carrier, set it on the marble countertop, and undid the zipper with slow, deliberate care. 2 bottles existed. He'd rationed them, told himself he would need them for emergencies. Despite having few options, he saw 2 paths: bottles and the necessity to pilfer from them. Chad wondered if the Roses understood how good they had it. As they never faced issues like finding food or dangers like death, moving or altering their names. Chad unscrewed the cap off the first bottle. The scent hit him thick with the salt and fat of mammalian life, not just any life, her life. Serena's, the woman who'd survived him, who now sat in front of every camera in London, pretending she'd been no one else. He lifted the bottle to his lips and drank. It remained consistent. The first mouthful burned, a spike of shame so bright he had to blink. Pleasure, pure and total, became a flood of energy for him. The third was necessity. He drained the bottle in one continuous swallow, not pausing for air, not thinking. Completion resulted in his setting the glass down, a click accompanying this action, and the wiping of his mouth using the back of his hand. The cut on his cheek had already healed. The ache in his ribs dulled to a whisper. His skin sang with electricity, the animal part of him, impundulu, thunderbird, monster, stretching and settling into place. He exhaled, slow and feeling the edges of himself re-knit. He wanted to laugh, or scream, or shatter the bottle upon the countertop, employing the fragment to breach his own chest and witness what remained within. Chad opted for the second bottle, and then, following a lengthy pause, restored it to the carrier. He zipped the bag, shoved it behind the protein bars and mineral water, and slammed the fridge shut with enough force to rattle the glassware above. Chad stood there, braced on the counter, and let the humiliation roll through him. He hated he needed this. Chad detested his bond to Serena. Neither separation, combat, nor eras could sever it. Chad experienced her doing this, as someone victimized, later as a parent, as the lone origin of power he tasted. His fists clenched, causing his nails to bite skin. The phone vibrated in the bedroom, containing a fresh message. The alert was sharp, insistent, a tone he'd set for only one contact. He walked back, slower now, the pain gone, but the memory of it coiled under his skin. He lifted the phone, beheld the name, and felt fresh loathing. Victoria Blackwood. Of course, Chad didn't open the message, not yet. Instead, he paced the room, letting the familiar dread build in his throat. He'd have to answer her at some point. He always did. He stored the carrier within the wardrobe drawer, nestled behind shirts holding one spare passport, following a return to the mini-fridge. In the trash, he buried the empty bottle beneath some receipts and wrappers. The tiny act of control pleased him as he snapped the lid. He pulled off his shirt, bloodied at the cuff, torn at the shoulder, and tossed it in the sink. Chad washed his hands, scrubbing harder than necessary, and watched the water run pink, then clear. Chad looked at his reflection. He failed to recognize the image. It was the face Serena had known, firm jaw, pale gold hair, eyes that shifted with the light. Even when composed, one perceived the animal within those orbs. He dried his hands on a towel and let himself feel the strength returning. The hunger was less urgent now, a low background thrum. He stretched his shoulders, rolled his neck, and felt the wounds inside him close. Chad returned to the phone. The message waited, unread. He considered ignoring it. Just for a minute, long enough to feign freedom. But of course he wasn't. He pressed his thumb on the screen and opened the message. Meeting, 1 hour, you're sweet, it read. No signature, no further explanation. He didn't need one. On the bed's edge, he focused on city lights, allowing time to pass. He worried about when Serena's milk would dry up and when his body would fail him, leaving him to survive. Chad wondered if Victoria knew about the carrier, about the milk. He wondered if she'd kill him for it, or worse, make him beg for more. Chad closed his eyes, picturing the woman he'd once thought he could keep. Her voice, her scent, the taste of her in his mouth. He could still feel the warmth of the bottle, the contents sliding down his throat, lighting up every nerve. He opened his eyes and waited for the doorbell to ring. Instead, the sound of bare feet advanced. Carla leaned over and dabbed a dry cloth on his forehead.
I hate seeing you like this,
she said.
I'm okay. There's a little more after this. I just want to stretch it out more.
Carla sat down on the floor beside him.
Chad, I owe you my life. No matter what, I have your back.
Chad glanced at Carla and smiled.
I've never had anyone in my corner before.
Carla nudged his shoulder and then looked out towards the balcony. She must aid Chad. She began working out a plan to get Chad help.
I do the dirty work while the master stays so clean. Rusty cog inside a cruel and vast machines. But I am nobody's darling and I am nobody's son. The damage is finished and the damage is done. I am the blade that the wit that keeps sharp for the fight, to extinguish the candles, the struggle to hold back the night. No one to hold me and no one to call out.